Howdy ho, Lions fans. Welcome to the Detroit Lions podcast, episode 284. This is the official Detroit Lions podcast for Reddit. I am your dashing host, Chris, and with me is my good friend and co-host, The Riz. How you doing, brother?
It is good to be with you, Chris, on a beautiful sunny Friday. We got football to talk about. We got a lot of things to talk about today.
You know, that's the thing I'm most thankful about of everything going on right now is that there's just football to watch. It's such a, I mean, just a month ago, people weren't sure, right? And here we are.
It makes life so much better. I went to a football game yesterday. I watched my son at his JV football debut yesterday. And it was
How'd
great.
They do? How'd he do, first off? That's the most important part.
He's a basketball player playing football, so he doesn't play much.
Right.
But his team is good. They played a nice school. They actually played against one of his AAU basketball teammates against and he was really good at football. So it was a fun time.
That's awesome.
Zealand East, we won. We beat Calvin Christian. Easy for me to say. So it was great. It was great sitting in the stands, being around other parents and adults, and people were masked up for like 90% of the time. Most of the time, it was great to see. Good. And the kids loved it. It was normal. Good we stuff. Missed normal. Yeah. I loved it.
Yeah. I noticed the hair's on point today. You're looking good, my man. You're looking good.
Thank you.
You are not looking COVID-ized. All right. We got a big show today. We got the Lions-Packers preview, and the Riz is here. Tony was going to join us. Tony Ortiz, last minute problem. He couldn't join us. We're just hoping everything's okay. Love you, Tone. We'll talk to you next week.
Yes.
Also, though, we do have a call going out to Dean Blandino. We're going to talk about this whole Clete Blakeman thing as the ref for Sunday, right? As if there's not enough problems in Lions land. This whole idea of Clete showing up again is just what you know what I mean? Are we piling on? Is that what we're doing here?
It's a genuine what the hell is what it is.
Yep. We got that. Predictions, a whole lot more coming up. Got a great show. Riz, you ready to go, my man?
Let's do it.
Let's kick this off and break it down.
All right, first couple of really quick announcements. First, check us out and help us out on the Patreon. Special thanks to Dylan from...
He's from Guam.
Yes. Of course, our very first donor, Mathis. Brian B. from Vale. I want to say hi to Jerry S., one of our wonderful, wonderful Patreon people. It was suggested in the Reddit, which is a great suggestion. Just randomly pick our Patreon people and just give them a shout out every show. So I'm going to start doing that. That was a great idea. Thank you so much.
Good idea.
I didn't get his message back. I was going to make him, or maybe her, the first person, but I didn't get it in time. So don't worry. We're after you. And I prevailed. Brian Burkheiser, I was just talking to him a little bit. As always, Brian's the man. We'll talk more. iprevailband.com. Good stuff there. Join everybody in the Slack. The most right now, I'm just telling you. You look around in Chatland, you don't want to be anywhere but the Detroit Lions podcast chat. It isn't Slappies. It isn't all we love the Lions and everything's it's peaches and cream.
You know what the best part of it is for me is that we can have disagreements in there and it doesn't get personal. I love that. That's not happening at Reddit or Twitter or Facebook.
Yeah.
Please avoid Facebook at all costs.
Reddit has been a cesspool lately.
Reddit, the sub has been an uncomfortable place to be lately, unfortunately.
Yeah, people are really off the edge, man. Look, it is what it is, right? We'll talk about it, and you can disagree, but you can disagree with each other in a way that is respectful. That's the key, folks. Be a decent person. All right, so yeah, check the Slack. It's the very, very best place to hang out, talk Lions, have a good conversation, a good disagreement, a healthy disagreement, and walk away saying, hey, I see his point of view. He's wrong. I'm still right. Or you can change the other's mind. It's just a whole different side of the world. It's a great place. How do you do that? Go to patreon.com/Detroit Lions Podcast. Patreon.com/Detroit Lions Podcast. All right, and you donate as little as $1 a month. It helps us do all the stuff we do, pay for the show, all the stuff we do with the show, and it really, you get something out of it. That's the thing we do with everything we're trying to do here. With whenever we do like an ad or something, we make sure it's something we believe in, we use, and you get something valuable out of it, right? We're not sitting here with an open hat just saying throw money at us. We want to make sure you get some good stuff out of it. So patreon.com/Detroit Lions Podcast. It's the most therapeutic place on the internet right now for the Lions fan. Give us a call or give us a call, like on Facebook, facebook.com/the Detroit Lions Podcast, Instagram Detroit Lions Podcast, and on Twitter at DET Lions Podcast. Also, Jeff Risdon at Jeff Risdon. DET Lions Podcast, the best place to see Jeff Risdon.
With no pants.
That's right. He doesn't need pants. Let's see. Okay. Last little bit here. Rate us on iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, Spotify, iHeartRadio, wherever you do it. Those 5-star reviews are important. Thank you for everyone who give those to us. We appreciate that. It's okay to disagree. You don't have to give a 1-star review because you disagree with what somebody says. You can just be nice and we can disagree and we can talk it out.
Really?
Yeah.
You can do that?
Yeah. No, I can. I've found some people who can't. But check us out. 5-star reviews. We love those. Happy to talk to you in the subreddit. And the snarkier you get, the snarkier I'll get. And I don't think you're going to like it. Riz knows. I could be a real dick.
Yes, I do. From our own personal disagreements, when you're snarky, it's not fun.
I'm sorry for all of that. But I did stand up for Chris Spooner. That's just my part. I'm not a total jerk, right? Give us a call via Skype, Detroit Lions Podcast, all one word, Detroit Lions Podcast. Or call us on the Lions line, 929-333 Lions, 929-335-4667. Leave us a message and give a chance to hear yourself on the show. Let's get this thing going.
Tighten your chin straps, kids. It's time to review This Week in Reddit.
All right, it's time to talk about all the fun and exciting things going down this week in Reddit, and boy, is there a lot to talk about in our preview. First things first, we're going to do a preview of Lions Packers. I like last week, I want to just do a little look back across history, right? Like we did with the Bears. Look back and talk about the glory and I don't know. I can't even do it, man. The past is not as good as the present as anywhere, right? This is the Lions.
I feel like you were about to sing Peter Cetera's "The Power and the Glory of Love" from Karate Kid 2, but
I needed to. That's what I needed to roll into at that point, my friend. All right, series history. They first met just like the Bears. It was 1930. The Lions were known as the Portsmouth Lions at the time. They've been division rivals since 33 and since 1934 when they came to Detroit. Longest running NFL annual series. They met almost after the Chicago Bears. We learned the Chicago Bears was with the Lions last week because the strike in 82.
Because of the strike. Yeah. I did not know that. I learned something last week. So Thank you for that.
Of course. These guys have met every year since 1932. It was 1930 for the Bears, so it's only 2 years shorter. So if we lose our streak with the Bears, we're still going to have the longest meeting streak. It's just with the Packers this time. So it gives you a lot of time to build hate over the period of time. And when you're the Lions with an overall record of 72 and 102 and 7 after 181 meetings, you can turn that hate up. You can turn it way up, right? All right, so we've met twice.
This guy needs a and I'm going to find him and just give him a big
Thank you. We're going to hear from Dean later, too. Thank you for the Patreon pledge, brother. I really, really, really appreciate that. We'll get you on the Slack after the show, I promise. Yes, the automated script is giving me some headaches right now, so I have to do it by hand. So we'll get you on after the show. All right. We met twice in the playoffs, the Packers and the Lions, which is pretty interesting, I think. The Packers have a 2-0 record over the Lions. Both times, I
remember one of them vividly.
Here's the part that's going to be crazy. Both times we met in the playoffs were in 1994. Isn't that an interesting fact? January 8th and December 31st.
That's right. That's right. I remember the second one better than the first one.
Yes.
Yes.
New Year's Eve.
I was working at a hotel in Cleveland at the time, and New Year's Eve was a very big time for hotels, so everybody was checking in.
We had the OBJ steam clean section there.
Yes.
I had to get one in.
Absolutely. Yeah, no Odell Beckham talk on this podcast.
Just a little.
So we had our lobby where it faced there's a bar on the other side, and they had it up on the TVs. And I was pulling for the Lions, and actually one of my coworkers was also rooting for the Lions at the time, and we were watching it. And we were just crestfallen. And all the people that are walking, I mean, it's in Cleveland, it's almost downtown Cleveland, so everybody's like Browns fans. And why are you guys upset? Because the Lions are losing.
Get out the
it's our year.
Quit paddling the Cuyahoga and pull the Lions. Let's go. Come on. We had it that year. Yes. Okay. So they both have long win streaks. The Packers' win streak against the Lions, their longest, is 10 games in a row. Ours is 11. We crushed them. The best news, folks, is the current streak they have is 2 over the Lions. So it's going to be 6 years before we have to worry about breaking any records there. So it's okay. We got time. We don't have to worry too much. Largest margin of victory. Who has it? Who do you think?
I'm going to guess that the Lions did in the early 1950s.
Oh no, it was the Packers. 50-7 in 1940. And the NFL record for scoring in a single quarter still owned by the Packers from around that same time. 41 points. In the second quarter, the Lions had led at 7-0 at that point, and then they scored 41 in the second. 4 receptions by Don Hudson in a quarter, and that's another standing record today, Don Hudson. So, all right, Thanksgiving Massacre. That's something we can look back on and sort of smile. We sacked Bart Starr 11 times. Unfortunately, in the playoffs, we choked out at the end of the division. The Packers went on and won the championship. So there you go. Here's a fun one. Matthew Stafford is 1 touchdown away from being the all-time touchdown leader against the Packers. Now that's something to hold on to and say, yeah, but we can score a lot.
That's worthy of a graphic from Fox and a mention from Dan Miller on Sunday's broadcast.
Yeah, for reals, for sure. I'll help his department, his spotter for him. Something Mike Flynn. Something Hail Mary, something hey Prater through to Toilolo. And then there's one we're going to discuss. That's a name I haven't heard in a long time, right Obi-Wan?
He caught a pass for the Steelers the other night.
Good for him.
The Steelers have Levine Toilolo and Eric Ebron as their tight ends right now.
I watched Ebron drop 2. Okay, yeah, and then the 2 hands to the face phantom penalties that were this is from the NFL Films action. It was controversial, called on Trey Flowers in the fourth quarter, ending in another bullshit Packers win. That's direct from the NFL Films write-up, by the way. Bullshit Packers.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
verbatim.
That was it. And that is something we're going to step into here next. We're going to give a call to Dan, but I want to tell you guys, check out the radio broadcast. Dan Miller, Lomas Brown Lions Radio Network, or on Fox in select markets. Check it out. Okay, let's get Dean on the phone. Let's talk about Clete Blakeman and this whole thing. For those that aren't in the know or don't remember or haven't seen it, we'll fill everybody in from the ground up once we get Dino here. Just got to get the phone. It says it's dialing, but you know how iPhones are.
I shouldn't have done the update. It was one of those things where we saw it this week. And it was really 1 year, not even a full year, because that was week 6 last year, and that was in Ford Field. And let me pull up the quote that I wrote on it, because I'm rather proud of it.
Good, because my stupid iPhone is not actually phone, getting the call out.
So what I wrote when I did my season review and watched the game, I wrote, I've been covering the NFL professionally since 2004 and watching football since the mid-1970s. I have never seen a single instance of the officials deciding the outcome of a game at any level of football more than this one. The Lions absolutely got hosed by Clete Blakeman and his clueless, biased crew. Blakeman effectively admitting he didn't know what was going on in his post-game press conference, which he abruptly stopped, only reinforces my position.
Absolutely. Yeah, you're right. So while we wait for this call,
so there were the two penalties against Trey Flowers for illegal hands to the face. Neither of them were legitimate. The other penalty, though, in the game that really bothered me in real time was when Tracy Walker tried to pick off a hospital ball thrown by Aaron Rodgers towards Geronimo Allison, and Allison happened to get in the way of Walker intercepting it. He got concussed and wound up being out for the season before he came to Detroit and got hurt.
Of course.
Good parenthetical there. But Walker got penalized for that, and everybody, and I remember we asked Dean about it not long after that. Everybody, Mike Pereira was on it. The guy from the other network, and I can't think of his name. He was on it, and they all said it was a terrible call. That's a bad throw by Rodgers. Don't reward him for hurting his own wide receiver. That obviously none of them said that, but that was the gist of it. I remember, so Pat Kerwin, who we know, Chris from Mobile, he went off on it on that Monday, or it might have been Tuesday. It was not a good call, to be blunt.
Yep, I'm using Skype instead of the phone because it's just not working. We'll get Dino one way or another. I promise.
Hello.
Hey Dino, how you doing, brother? Can you hear me?
I'm good. How are you?
Oh, good. I had to use Skype for some reason. We couldn't get the stupid regular phones to connect. What is it? What is it here in Lions Land? What's going on?
Hello. Can you hear me?
Yep.
We can hear you, Dean.
All right, we're gonna try to call you back.
Oh, live radio, folks. Live podcasting.
So, are you ready for some real fun? We got Tony here too. Let's get Tony in. Let's just do the whole bag.
All right,
do the whole ball of wax. Okay, come on, Tony. Tony, how you doing, buddy?
Tony,
what's up?
Hey, look at that. All right, glad you made it.
Thank you. Sorry about that.
That's okay, brother. That is okay. Let me see. I'm gonna get your names right here because last time I just let it ride. This time I can't.
Yes, you did.
People need the names of those beautiful faces. Okay. We're actually having like a hilarious set of circumstances right now.
We're trying to get Dean.
There we go.
Right.
Trying to call our friend Dean with the regular phone.
Gotcha.
Yep.
There we go.
We're talking about Clete Blakeman, and I'll ask you first about it.
I'm not
Tony,
available.
if we can't get Dean here. What were your thoughts when you saw that Clete Blakeman was assigned to do this game between the Packers and the Lions?
This face, I was surprised. I thought he would never do another Lions game. And look, I understand he didn't make the call. It was one of his officials working under him who made those bad calls for the Lions and Packers game. But Jeff, usually when that happens, it does fall on whoever's running the crew. And Clete Blakeman was running the crew at that time. And so I thought he wouldn't do another Lions game, or at least it would be a couple of years before he did a Lions game. But lo and behold, he's got the game Sunday at Lambeau Field.
Hello.
Makes no sense
Dino,
at all.
I think we got you, buddy. How you doing?
Good. How are you guys?
Good. I'm here with Jeff and Tony. Good to talk to you again. Sorry about the phone issues. It's something.
No, I mean,
we're having a fun technical
like,
day, Dean.
It's like the Lions in the fourth quarter on Sunday, you know?
Oh, yeah, rub it in, man. Is this how we're going to start? Really?
Just saying.
Dean comes in blazing.
Wow.
Dean, now your money was on the Lions last week. Let's get everyone straight, right? You were a Lions guy.
I predicted the Lions to win the division. They were up big. I'm touting the Lions, and then, Mitchell Trubisky turns into, Bart Starr. I don't know what happened.
Oh, don't use Bart Starr. We got a tough look ahead this week too, buddy.
Yeah, I know.
All right. You know what's up, right? Last week, or last year, God, it feels like last week, we had the Cleat Blakeman situation where there was the calls, and we look at them. Of course, as viewers, we have the benefit of multiple slow motion angle replay and everything else. Okay. But it happened twice. The two face mask, hands to the face calls that were maybe not really hands to the face. I'm being as generous as I can here because we're friends, right? So what happens? We pull him for the next meeting. I really thought, and Tony was saying it too, we'd never see Cleat on a field with the Lions again. And I'm telling you, like, if this was at Ford Field, or even if it was in Lambeau, I'm guaranteed people would be getting bus loads of people to show up if they allowed people in the stands for this. Yeah. What is the NFL thinking? How does this work? Give us the lowdown first, just to set us straight. That it's not like a vast conspiracy like everybody thinks.
No, it's interesting, and I do feel like
Hold on, Dean. Wouldn't you know? I shouldn't have done that phone update. I know it. I just know it.
Oh my!
I can. Am I a jinx again?
Tony.
No,
Tony.
It's not you, Tony.
Okay, I'm gonna. I've got one last hope.
All right.
I've got a second phone.
Wow. You have a burner phone?
I can see you. I can hear you. I can still hear you. Can you hear me?
I can hear Dean.
Okay,
yeah.
I heard
we
can
now.
Yeah,
can you hear me?
Yeah, we got you.
Yes.
If we lose
back.
you like that one more time, I'm going to just try to call you from the other phone. I don't know.
Okay.
I got one phone with the new update and one that doesn't, and I'm not doing any Apple commercials for the next couple of weeks. That's all I'm going to say. All right, go ahead, buddy. Start over for us if you would.
Yeah, so obviously I don't know all the discussion that took place, in making the assignments, but I know when I was at the NFL, and this is still the practice, if you have a crew or a referee that is involved in something controversial, and we're not talking about, something, there's going to be a missed call in every game, but this was a big deal, right? The Lions and Packers, couple of calls, very controversial, close game. So you would basically say, okay, Cleat, if it's the same crew or if it's just Cleat, he's not going to go back and work the Lions. You're going to give a little bit of a grace period because as we know in our relationship, time heals all wounds. And so you're going to maybe Cleat doesn't see the Lions for a year or two, whatever it is, and you certainly don't want to put him back on the same matchup the next year. Because, like you said, it just creates – this now becomes a topic of conversation where you don't want the officiating going into the game to be the topic of conversation. You certainly don't want it to be the conversation at any point. So what I believe has happened because of COVID and everything else, the scheduling has been changed and, it's more regional, it's more geographic, trying to keep officials off of planes whenever possible. Maybe that was part of the conversation. Maybe they just missed it. Maybe they didn't go back and look at last year and say, hey, because what I used to do when I was at the league office, I would sit there with my assistant and we would go through, okay, when we're looking at the schedule, let's look at the games from last year that were major controversy. And let's try to keep our referee who was involved in that away from those teams if possible, right? And you just give some time between. I don't know if that conversation took place, if it was strictly, hey, because of COVID and everything else, we have to fit Cleat into this game. But obviously it's not ideal because it's Friday and the game hasn't even been played yet and we're talking about the officiating.
Absolutely. And the thing is now, no matter what happens, it's a no-win situation for the NFL. If Cleat makes a call, or Cleat's crew makes a call that favors the Lions, that's just a payback, right? That's the narrative.
Sure,
if they make one against the Lions, then it really gets ugly. If it's he calls it straight, there's still, you never get a straight called game for the fans. Nobody actually ever believes that, right?
No.
There's a no-win here for these guys.
And that's real. Like that perception becomes reality. And you think about, if you go back to 2001, Walt Coleman, the famous Tuck game, right? The Patriots and the Raiders. Walt Coleman worked that game. That was in 2001, 2001. he retired in 2015. He never worked another Raider game, right? That's extreme.
Wow.
That's extreme, but that is part of when you're scheduling. You want it for everyone involved. It keeps the official in, out of a no-win situation, and it obviously doesn't, especially, if this game was in Detroit with a full stadium, Cleats walking into, a kind of a bad situation, and you certainly don't want that.
One of the questions I have, Cleat also did the Packers-Seahawks playoff game last year, and there was a very obviously bad call in that game too. Is there any that doesn't send flags up? Like you talked about, Dean, about how you used to go through it. That's not something that's standard practice. That's something that you personally did that maybe your successors haven't implemented, going through and looking and making sure that there's no bad optics or anything like that?
Yeah, I don't know if my successors, I'm pretty sure they have. I mean, and that went back, that predated me. That was just, it's common sense. You just try to, you don't want to, you can't limit yourself in terms of scheduling. That's why there's going to be calls that are missed, and you can't say, well, they missed a call against the Lions, they're never going to work the Lions again. You have to, because you're trying to mix and you don't want the same team getting the same referee 5 times a year, because your likelihood of something happening then goes up. So you try to send them around. You limit the number of times they can see the same team to twice throughout the year. They can't go to the same city more than twice. Look, COVID has changed all of that, but I think sometimes the referee gets it follows the referee around because he or she is the face of the crew, but it might not even be their call, right? That playoff crew in Green Bay, Seattle, the playoffs are mixed crews. So right. A lot of those officials weren't even on Cleat's regular season crew, right? But because Cleat is the face of that crew, it gets attached to him, and that's just part of the deal.
Well, Dean, let me follow up with this question then, and you kind of hit on the face of the crew. It wasn't Blakeman who actually made the bad calls in that game against the Packers.
Sure.
It was a member of his crew. When you were dealing with the officials, when you were the head of officiating, would that fall more on Blakeman for not overseeing or at least reversing the call, or would you also treat the guy who made the call the same way as Blakeman?
Yeah, it's not. I mean, look, if a referee out there, the referee they have their own, kind of scope, what they can look at. So if something happens downfield, there was an unnecessary roughness in that game, a hit on a defenseless receiver that was called. I mean, Cleat isn't going to see that live. There's no way he's going to see that based on what he's watching during the play. So he has no chance to correct anything like that. So it's just the reality is that people, right? If I mention Phil Luckett, right? Phil Luckett was a referee. People immediately are going to think, he was involved in this was in the 90s and was right. involved in a whole bunch of situations, coin toss, things like that. But there was a point in time where it was not Phil, it was people on his crew. But nobody. Do you know the side judge for the game coming up Sunday? Do you know the line judge? No. People just know the referee. And so if you might after the fact, exactly. If it does raise to that level, but very rarely is an umpire going to get that type of notoriety. It typically falls on the referee.
Yeah. What do you think? In the chat right now, in the chats, it's you're getting a lot more support than normal, Dean, and I think the outreach you've been working with has been helpful, right? I mean, you're a guy who I still don't understand. Before you took this job, you had to accept it and why you did, right? But I certainly understand why you left, right? And it's funny having gone through this kind of relationship with you in the decent sense or whatever. It all started with a hashtag, fire Blandino, and we're at the point now where we're hashtagging hire Blandino. You know what I mean? It's like wow, where have we gone? Like, what's this path and trip we've had and growth and learning and all that? But what about the idea of the eye in the sky? We've talked a little about that in the past. A lot of people think it would really, really help. It just feels like taking that kind of stuff out of it may help. You're never going to get rid of all of it. right? But
Sure.
and there's always going to be an element of subjectivity to a lot of the calls. But like the Packers game, the fun quote unquote thing that people like to talk about is we led both games for all 60 minutes and still lost, right? Either one of or both of those plays aren't called that way, and for all intents and purposes, the Lions win the game, right? Those are very, very significant game-changing calls that affects careers of players and coaches and management and so on. What is the idea, the eye in the sky idea? What's the idea of possibly making this better? Have you talked to Alberto recently about such things?
Well, the competition committee has discussed this, and I do envision the NFL will have some version of a video official, eye in the sky judge, whatever you want to call it. I think they're going to have something in the near future. They did want to experiment. This preseason. Obviously, we didn't have a preseason, so they couldn't. Nothing went wrong, but they couldn't experiment with it. So I do anticipate that eye in the sky concept, becoming a part of the NFL. I think there are. You just got to limit it. You got to make sure you understand the parameters. We certainly don't want, after every call, we're just standing around waiting for a video official to say, yay or nay. But I think sometimes there are obvious things that happen that can be corrected quickly and efficiently on video. And I think the league is looking at that, and I would anticipate that in the near future.
Okay. There's one more thing that's going on, and I think people need to hear this and understand this. In the chat, people are going nuts about the XFL and the transparency and the officiating. You had a really, really big part in that, didn't you? I mean, this was something that was created from a blank sheet of paper that you did. You didn't start with somebody else's set of rules, try to evolve them to as much as you could through a competition community. You helped kind of white page this, right? So it might help people get a little context about where Dean's head is and his ability to run an officiating situation and crews and so on and get this right, because they did a spectacular job with that transparency.
Yeah, look, the XFL was great. Like you said, it was a blank page. We had the ability. We didn't have anything previous that we were beholden to, right? We could just say, hey, if we're going to create this and this game and these rules and these processes, let's do it, and let's keep the fan and the viewer, however they're watching the game, let's take their view into consideration as well, and what would make their experience better. And it's that transparency. It's seeing the replay official make a decision, hearing what they're saying in the booth, listening to the on-field conversation. I think those were all innovations that we felt really good about it with the XFL. Now, look, the NFL, right? It's an established organization that's been around for 100 years. It's harder to just say, okay, now all of a sudden we're going to peel back the curtain all the way. So I get it that the NFL isn't going to jump in with both feet, but I do feel like there are some things the NFL can do from a transparency standpoint that would help reduce the conspiracy theory, all the kind of, our team is just, they're out to get us, those types of things, because that certainly in my experience has never been the case, as much as the Lions have been on the wrong end for what it seems like forever, but sometimes it's just bad luck. But I do think that transparency would go a long way.
Yeah. Oh man. So obviously you had it with the XFL where there was a lot of interaction between the league, like you in the office and the officials on the field. Mm-hmm. I'll go back to last night's game, Cleveland and Cincinnati, where the officials blew calls on 2 of the first 3 plays of the game. Yeah. Is there any, and I don't know so I'll ask this: is there if a guy's having a bad game, can you come in at halftime and say, "Hey, man, you're missing calls"? Does the league have the ability to contact the officials like that and say, "Hey, this is you're missing this," or wake up your side judge or something like that? Is that something that
it's the league, that's not something that would come from the league. You do have communication from the Game Day Central in New York, and you can communicate with a select number of officials on the field, the referee and one other. And really, you're not gonna say, hey, to the referee, get the line judge needs to step it up. That is really the crew's job to get together. They're a team out there they need to pick each other up. If somebody, is what you don't want is somebody kicks a call and now you get in their ear and you make them feel even worse about it.
Yeah, that makes sense.
That's really the crew's job to kind of pick them up. But it was, it was interesting, right? We had a catch that was clearly incomplete that was ruled a catch, and it felt like it took forever to fix that, and that process needs to be more efficient, and I know the league is working on that. And again, it's a different, we're dealing with different circumstances this year with COVID, and people aren't all in one place. Even in New York, people are in different locations, so that could be a part of it as well.
Hey, Dean, this is the first time we've ever had a chance to talk, so it's a pleasure, first of all, to get the chance to talk to you. But I've been a fan, and I'm kind of curious. What is a typical Sunday like for you in the NFL season? Yeah,
so Sundays, we'll head to, being on the West Coast now, or, your early games start at 10 a.m., which is, I'm still not used to having grown up on the East Coast my entire life, but it takes a while. And so, yeah, we're at the studio. I'm usually at the studio by 8, getting set up, testing. There's a lot of communications equipment. We have audio communication to all of our TV trucks, so I can talk directly to the producer, and that's happening throughout the game when there are officiating issues. So we're testing all the comms, and then then I get wardrobe. I know this is hard to believe, but I get a little makeup, and then just a little touch up.
You always pick the Lions blue tie, I noticed.
Yes. And then we're in the studio. We've got a setup where all of our games, there's a wall of screens, and all of our games are up there. I've got a system in front of me with somebody that works with me that can run the video for me, and we've got a touch screen. So if I'm on the Lions Packers game and the Eagles Rams game, I can switch back and forth between those two games, listen to the announcers, and watch the game as it goes on. And as things come up, I get in the producer's ear. If the announcers start talking about a foul or a rule, I can listen in. If they're on the right track, I can just kind of reinforce it. If not, I can help clarify it. And then if there is something that raises to the level where they want me to come on the air and talk about it, the producer says, "Hey, Dean, we're going to come to you." I have a camera. I turn and get in position. Camera's on me, and they kick it to me, and I do my thing, and then we move on. So that's a typical Sunday. And then we've got the 2 windows. So the early window is usually over by about 1:15, 1:30, and then we get that second game starting.
It was nice living on the West, and Dean moved to the West Coast. Like our moving trucks crossed around Kansas at the same time as I moved back east. But when you get that you do that post game show after a Lions game and you wrap up, and you can just sit back and watch the 8 o'clock game at 5 o'clock.
Oh, wow. It's amazing.
Football's over at 9, and you can just kind of relax and get into the evening. There's really something special about that.
It is. I mean, I remember just being in New York and working at the NFL, and I would, the Sunday night game is sometimes wouldn't end until midnight, and then I'm waiting if there was something significant. If the Lions were playing, it was always going to be something significant. So I'd have to wait for NFL Network to contact me to go on the air and explain it, and then wait for the coach, either coach to call. And so you're not, it could be 1:30 before you're rolling into bed. Whereas, like you said, Chris, it's by 9 o'clock the game is well over, and you're sitting there on to the next thing.
Yeah, it's good stuff. Get the kids ready for school, right?
Yeah, well, they're Zoom schooling here, which has been interesting.
Hey, really quick, Dean, I know we're going to let you go. I know we don't want to keep you too long. You're always so generous with us and treat us so nice. But I do want to mention that Tony hasn't heard this really, and we're just starting to get all the pieces together. We've got our annual St. Jude charity fundraiser starting November. We're going to kick it off right now. It looks like November 6th with a 24-hour podcast-a-thon where Case and I and a bunch of our friends are going to go for 24 hours of, our brand of whatever it is that we do, Lions Talk. And along the way, we're going to have a bunch of guests. Dean's helping us coordinate a bunch of stuff. We're putting a lot of different stuff together. We're not going to talk a whole lot together, but Dean, you've always been so generous. Last time he came up with, game used Super Bowl balls, a ton of really, really good stuff. For us is for the auction. We're trying to raise stuff on the auction. Last time, it was a spur of the moment thing inspired by Matt Patricia's donation to Rich at the Combine. We were like, you know what, Lions fans can do something. And I was about to write a check. I was in a hotel room in California, actually, and I was like, I'm not going to just write a check. I think we can do more. And on this kind of spur of the moment thing, we raised almost $7,500 for St. Jude. This year, I'm really putting the challenge out there. I think, adding this podcast-a-thon, we're calling it Christmas for the Kids, going from November till the end of December. Our goal is 25 G's this year in auctions and other stuff. And I think already some of the things we've gotten for auction, you guys would be stunned because there's some really big-time items up. We plan to go big this year. So all you folks listen, please be ready for that. Please be ready to help out these kids. This is something that, there's nothing that's made me feel better other than when I kicked off that St. Jude thing. I think I got more out of it than St. Jude did, just out of the sense of, being able to do something good in this world, especially these days, because it's not as nice as it used to have been. So, Dean, before we go, I just wanted to say thanks for all your help on that and along the way, and thanks for being such a great pal, bud.
Yeah, absolutely. Looking forward to it, and let's hope we're not talking about officiating next week. Let's keep it a quiet week.
Let's hope we have a 24-hour podcast-a-thon about officiating.
You could talk 24 hours about all the controversial Lions calls over the years. But
it may be
that's
possible.
true.
That's true. All right, buddy. Have a good one. All right.
All right, guys.
All right. Good to talk to you.
Talk to you later.
Cheers. All right. He's such a good guy, isn't he? Everybody hates on him from his job from back when. But if you listen to our old shows and talks with him, you guys will find out Dean's an incredible dude who worked within a system that was maybe not the best system. He did what he could to make it better along the way within the confines he had. And again, you point to the XFL and Salt was there. You see Dean's
always
mind
been
at work.
Honest. Even if you don't want to hear what he has to say, he's going to tell you what's going on, and he's going to tell you why it's happening. And I appreciate that. He doesn't duck it.
Yeah.
Agreed.
There's a lot of people that would be in his position who would try to waffle or politic their way out of it. No, he just comes out and he'll take it. He'll take the heat.
When he was running the officials, I used to love watching him on the NFL Network on the day after games because he would actually come out and say exactly what you were thinking. It's like, wow, Dean Blandino knows it. And not to put down his predecessors, but I miss Blandino's bluntness after those. After games, I really would like to see that go forward.
Yeah. He did a great job in a tough role. He talked about us, and again, you guys go look at some of the old shows. He's talked about some of the calls he's had with Mrs. Ford. He's some of the calls with Jim Caldwell, and even some of the Matt Patricia calls he's had when he was with the Patriots. And they're great stories. They're all great stories. We'll have more. We'll have more.
Anybody else think it's amazing that coaches still call him after games just to get an idea about? Because he said that at the end. I'm like, wait a minute. You're taking calls from NFL coaches about calls that were made during their games before they called the NFL about them. I thought that was fascinating as hell.
Yeah.
He's still plugged in, man. That's and plus he's in the network center, and a lot of those guys. This, Tony, from what you do, they're very plugged into the local media and will reflect and how is this getting perceived there before they wind up talking on that. So I'm sure that there's a lot of back and forth on that too.
I'll tell you talk about the network center just really quick because I can't keep a good secret. I'm terrible at this. But we're working with Fox PR. One of the things that we're talking about as a possible auction item is a green room trip to the network center in Culver City out in California on a Sunday football day. So that's not the biggest thing. That would be
amazing.
That's not the biggest
I would
thing,
bid on that.
I'm going to bid on
it. Just so you know, I'll be chaperoning whoever's going on.
Oh boy.
At my own expense, of course.
I just like watching like a local news production, like it was 6 o'clock news production at the Fox affiliate here in Grand Rapids, and I've been there for a couple times on it. It's amazing what all goes on behind the scenes and in the producing booth. And
yeah, for real.
Wow, it's my kids were blessed enough to get to watch it too, and they're like, wow, you have no idea how much is going on the other side of the camera.
Yeah. It's crazy. It's crazy stuff. So, and just the last thing with the St. Jude thing, every penny that we raise is going to St. Jude. I'm covering the overhead of everything that we get. So we're looking for the donated auction items, of course, because I'm not going to go buy jerseys to give away. I'm not going to raise enough money. I'll just give them the $45,000, right? It's gonna be done, or the $25,000. We'll be done with it there. But I'm going to cover all the overhead on this. So this is everything we raise is up to you guys and your help, and I'll of course be thrown in there too as well. But this is a big thing. Let's take care of those kids. Let's do Christmas for the kids this year. This is something that I really, really believe in and want to help you guys help us out. All right, let's talk Lions. Thank you everybody for indulging me. Really quick, has the injury report come out? I haven't been able to check. Have we seen the official injury report for this week?
I have not seen the official yet.
No.
Okay, what do we know, or what do we think we know?
So we know that Kenny Galladay did not practice on Friday.
Right.
Big V did not practice on Friday. He hasn't practiced in 2 weeks with a foot. He's called Big V for a reason, not because anybody can't say Halapoulivaati. I would be shocked if he played. And again, I'm just doing this without knowing what's going on.
Let me ask you something about Big V
Desmond
really
Trufant
quick.
out.
I want to ask
out
you
of
about
practice all week too, and that's not good with the hamstring. That's something that and Matt Patricia talked about it. I think it was Wednesday where he talked about the rash of injuries. He was asked about it in his press conference again today too. It's not something that they want to rush. So I would not expect Trufant, Galladay, or certainly Big V to be out there on Sunday.
I want to
And
ask
let me
you a
add one
question.
more name
Go
to that
ahead,
list.
Tony.
Sorry, Chris. Let me add one more name to that list. Joe Dahl was out of practice yesterday. He didn't practice again today. It looks like groin injury. So there's a possibility the Lions go into that game against the Packers without their starting left guard and their starting right tackle.
Okay, so Halapoulivaati Vaitai, and I'll give you guys the secret on how to remember how to say his name in a moment. I want to get your honest opinion, Riz. Do you feel like we're looking at a Mike Daniels situation here? Remember, he got hurt early and then never really came back. And I just hate to put that out there, even kind of in the universe, but I just want to get a sense of some folks that have spent some time out there and the people you know, and you too, Tony.
So
are we looking at something like
I
this,
know
or is this
people who know him
short-term?
from Philly very well, and they said he's not a guy who's going to milk an injury. And I don't, not that anybody would say that about Mike Daniels either, but it is worth noting that Mike Daniels has not played for the Bengals yet either, and they desperately needed him last night. If you watched that game,
Yep.
It's a foot. Foot injuries can be anything. It can be, he rolled the side of his foot. It could be a broken bone. It could be what's the thing that ruined Amir Abdullah? Liz Frank.
Yeah.
That it could be any of those things. It's very nonspecific. The Lions do not offer one iota of information more than they have to, so we don't really know. But the fact that he has not been out there, not even like dressed and working off on the trainers on the side, that's not a good sign for playing this week or next week. And it wouldn't surprise me if he winds up not playing through the first 4 weeks. And that, again, they are not going to rush injuries this year, even with the change in IR where you can put a guy on for 3 weeks. That's they learned from last year, and I've heard this from several people that are around the team. They learned last year that they mishandled the injuries by keeping the guys riding too long, trying to get them back, having them practice on like Monday or Tuesday, and then seeing, okay, that's still not good. They want to get that full rest time in this year. That's something that I know that they're focused on. So probably suboptimal for week 2, but maybe it helps in week 3, week 5, week 10, things like that.
Yeah. So Tony, here's the secret, right? You're the radio guy, so you know a lot about it, mnemonic tools and stuff. It's play that funky music, white boy. Halapoulivaati Vaitai. Sing that to yourself, and you'll get it out every single time. It's really great.
On the scripts, when I do updates, when his name comes up, it's phonetically spelled out.
Oh,
I mean,
nice.
I go syllable by syllable with Halapoulivaati with Big V.
Halapoulivaati Vaitai.
You got it, Tony.
You get that
See, I
beat.
can't do it without a script in front of me. If there's a script in front of me, great, I can handle it. Without a script, I just completely messed up.
That's my mnemonic trick is the play the music, funky music, white boy, and I get it just about every time.
I'm stealing that from you. I'm going to try it.
That's good.
And if not, at least you're singing a nice tune and you can move on. All right, let's talk a little bit about the matchups. What are our key matchups? Last week we talked about the right side of the line, and for all intents and purposes, I was really pleased with how the right side of the line held up to the Bears defense. The rest of the team we can talk about otherwise, different conversation, but what we thought was going to be the giant vulnerability of the team just didn't really show up as they survived and just didn't collapse like kind of what it might have been expected. What are we looking at against these Packers?
Yeah, so again, you're going to have the right side of the line being a question. It's not like Preston and Za'Darius Smith and they work in Rashawn Gary and now too. It's not like those guys are not good football players coming off the edge again.
Yep.
And this one's a little different because they run a lot of multiple. They will flood a side. They will rush 4 on one side and one guy on the other, and that complicates the protections. You can't slide your entire line to protect that. They did it a couple of times last week. Now they didn't do it very well, and their defense got absolutely gashed. In fact, they have the worst yards per play allowed in the NFL after what Minnesota did to them. Now a lot of that was in garbage time, but the ability to keep Matthew Stafford comfortable and give him time to survey down the field, because their linebacking core is awful, and it was awful last week. Kirk Cousins picked them apart every chance he got. That's going to be there for Stafford if he has time to stand in the pocket and count to 3. It doesn't have to be 4. It doesn't have to be 3.5. If he can make his first read and see that that's gone, go to his second read and, okay, maybe that's there, but maybe I can also see the third read out of the corner of my eye over here. That's all he needs, and he will have a lot of success, but they have to give him the time. And, again, the fact that the Packers have Kenny Clark in the middle, very disruptive force in the middle. Now, I thought Frank Ragnow was the best player in the Lions in week 1, so I'm feeling pretty good about that one. And I think Kenny Clark is actually on their injury report, too.
He's out.
Is he out? Oh,
yes.
Ooh, that's
thank
a
you,
big help.
Tony. You
You're
gave me
welcome.
good news, buddy.
Yeah, he's out. According to Matt LaFleur at his press conference today, that Kenny Clark is out and will not play Sunday.
That's a huge break for the Lions. He's
Yeah, it
really
is.
good.
Tony says he's a jinx and he's bringing all the good news. He's like Santa here.
I try. The thing I'm looking for, the Lions have to be a very disciplined team, because quiet as it's kept, Aaron Jones actually had a pretty good game for the Green Bay Packers in week 1.
Mhm.
And so if I'm the Packers, I'm going to try to run to set up the pass this time around. So to me, the Lions have to be disciplined. They have to make sure they don't fall for the Aaron Rodgers tricks. The cadence count, which Minnesota got caught a couple of times at home. Granted, there were no people in the stands, but still, they got caught off guard with Aaron Rodgers' cadence. But also, too, the run game. I mean, the Packers do have a decent run game, and I think that's going to be something where the Lions are going to have to control that. On the other side of the ball, and Jeff, I hope you agree with me on this, if you're Detroit, you know Aaron Rodgers is going to get his shots. Your key is to try to control the game with Adrian Peterson, with DeAndre Swift, and with Kerryon Johnson. They've got to keep the ball away from the Packers as much as they can. Because, again, Rodgers is going to get his shots. He's going to get his chances to score points. You just have to make sure he doesn't get a whole lot of those chances.
So this is one of those weeks where Patricia's inherently conservative ball control style actually really plays into the favor of the Lions.
Yeah. And this is look, I'm not saying that the Lions are going to win, or I'm not even going to go out. It feels like a limb to say it's going to be close, but I will say that it feels like the Lions are better matched up against the Green Bay Packers than they are against the Chicago Bears, which is odd because the teams are on different ends of the quality spectrum. But even last year, when we lost to the Bears both times, we effectively, and I know wins and losses matter, but effectively beat the Packers twice, right? I mean, it's this is a team that I wouldn't, if I just kind of in a vacuum look at it, I wouldn't expect them to completely get blown out. And I mean, the offseason work that the Packers did to the team, it's hard to point at significant improvements. Every team got better in the NFL, but when they spent that first pick on Jordan Love, right? I mean, you just could feel it. They missed out on an opportunity to get an immediate impact player to change that team by getting Jordan. They made a calculated risk. I laughed hard and I still giggle in my sleep sometimes with my happy dreams. But I hope they can, and I hope that I'm right. But let's hope that that's the case. What do you guys thought compared to last year to this year? How did the two teams match up?
Yeah, I don't think the Lions are scared going into Lambeau. I think that's one of the things that has come over the last 3 or 4 years, is that they know they can win there, and that sort of mystique where they didn't win there for I forget how many years it was. That's gone, and they do match up actually X's and O's fairly well, because again the strength of the Lions' offensive line is on the interior for the most part, and over the left tackle. If you run at the Packers and block effectively their linebackers are not good. Their safeties are not all that good either. They're good on the outside, and they got better on the outside too. And Jair Alexander is a really, really good corner. I would expect him to probably mirror Marvin Jones all over the field, which means that guys like Danny Amendola is going to have to step. Quintez Cephas, who got a lot of work last week, didn't do a whole lot with it, but he got a lot of experience anyways. He's going to have to make a couple of catches that he didn't make in week 1 if they're going to keep the passing attack going. And again, like you said, Tony, ball control, churn first downs. This is a week for the 10-play, 75-yard drive if there ever was one.
And Riz, you mentioned something that was interesting too about the Lambeau Field mystique. I think the Packers are one of the few teams in the NFL that really will suffer without having home fans in the stands.
Great point.
One thing I love about Lambeau Field is the people there are Packer crazy, and they do give an energy to the home team. It's funny. They have one of the simplest theme songs, Go Pack Go. You know, you can say it in your sleep, Go Pack Go. But when you've got 60,000 people, 50,000 of which are dressed like Elmer Fudd going after Bugs Bunny, and they start saying, Go Pack Go, and they're chanting it, it becomes haunting, but it gives you energy. And you can see the Packers playing off that energy. And I think they're going to miss the Lambeau Field crowd on Sunday. And I think this is a good situation. I'd rather have the Lions face the Packers in Green Bay in week 2 than try to face them in, say, week 10 or 12 when there's actually fans in the stands at Lambeau.
And when the Bears are facing them twice at the end of the season, which is they don't see them till like week 9 or 10, something crazy like that. So they're seeing them all at the end. Injuries, of course, have a role to play, but it's a whole different ball of wax for them to show up in Lambeau with a crowd there than this. It's a great point, Tony.
Big time. Although the one thing I do miss about Lambeau, you could walk through the parking lot at Lambeau and people will say how much the Lions suck, and then they'll turn around and say, hey, would you like some food?
Yeah.
Love walking through the parking lot because I would gain 5 pounds between the time I got out of the cab and the time I got to the stadium because I'd have a couple of bratwursts filled with mustard and some onions and cheese curds. Loved it. Loved going to games at Lambeau Field. I don't care how cold it was. It was usually 20 below, but loved it. The fans are great. The best fans, one of the best sets of fans in the NFL was in Green Bay.
That's great. We've heard that from one of our Slack chat guys, Wisco Boiler. He actually lives in Kenosha, which has its own set of things going on right now. But he says the Green Bay fans are as far as fan goes, it's great. Fans go, it's a great place to be. They're not, they're just good people, right? Otherwise, they're still, you get your fandom, but they start from a good place, and that's a big thing in the NFL.
They're different from the homers that you get in Boston or Dallas or Miami or Philadelphia. It's a different vibe to them. They're going to let you know that their team is really good, but they're not going to rub your face that you're not beating them
physically. You won't meet the asphalt when you. That's a result. Yeah, batteries in Philly, the whole thing. Yeah, okay. So there we go. All right, Riz, do you know where Vegas is on this game? I know you kind of do a thing for that for real.
I do not actually. I got wrapped up having to cover the Browns and the Bengals all week on a Thursday night, so that sort of shot my week. So I don't know where they're at on it. I think it was minus. Well, hold on, I got it right here. It was. Right. I wound up taking the under on it because I don't think that the defenses are behind the offenses in this game as much as they are in some other ones. So as of Tuesday afternoon, the Packers were favored by 6, and I think that has actually gone up to 6.5 now at some outlets anyways. That's a touchdown. And who knows with the kicking, the way things are right now, how that's going to go. And it looks like weather will not be a factor. So we got that as a plus 2.
It's great because
plus 6.5 is what I see right now.
We used to have every game of the season that seemed like would end up at Lambeau, right? December 29th, Lambeau every year. It was horrible, but it's good. It's good. So and I really quick, something occurred to me earlier when you were talking about Aaron Jones and kind of his underrated. He was underrated last week. You didn't hear about him at all, and he actually had a great season in the general meeting. I think from the Lions' perspective, keeping Danny Shelton vertically moving instead of horizontally moving is going to be the key, and I think that's one of the biggest keys for the Lions on defense this time, because Aaron Rodgers is going to be Aaron Rodgers, and he's going to match up against our corners the way he does. That's always part of the story, and it's just something we're going to have to see how they show up. But if we can hold Aaron Jones into small runs, little chunks of field, and force them to throw the ball. I think I'd rather bet on Jeff Okudah right now, and his first game, wanting to ball out and do something, because I think we have a lot of guys in this team that feel like, especially after what happened last week and the reaction they got from Detroit fans, they want to ball out and they got something to prove, and that's kind of the X factor I think Detroit has in its favor this week. We'll see how that plays out and what that means in the end, but there we go.
It's going to be great watching Okudah play. I can't wait to see his debut. I wonder how much he's going to mirror with and travel the field with Devontae Adams, who had 14 catches last week, Packers record.
Yeah.
The thing is if he can do that, then you have your safeties free to handle, help out on the other side where there are injury problems if Trufant doesn't play. And he has been ruled out now officially.
Yep.
And Darrell Roberts is also out. So and Justin
Galladay.
Coleman's on IR. So you're looking at Amani Oruwariye, a lot of him. The dude that they just picked up off the street is going to play a lot. You're going to see Mike Ford out there. You're going to see the D Virgin, hopefully not on defense, but
Oruwariye did not look terrible out there. Again, his growth as a cornerback, especially with no preseason.
He's not a problem.
No. I'm really pleased. I'm again, where if everything stopped today and we moved on and I had to judge the pick of Amani Oruwariye for the Detroit Lions, what a value. He's grown into at least what we needed him to be so far. So we'll see how his season goes, but he's got a lot of talent. I really love to see this kid growing up. Like, I remember watching Slay. We talk about how he got benched in his first season, and it was fun to watch Slay grow up in that role.
Yes.
Oruwariye is a guy who's doing it a lot more quietly, because he's had Slay there and now Okudah's there. But I love this kid. I love his heart. I love the work he puts in, and I love what he's been doing so far. He's kind of an undersold player on the Lions defense. So if he can continue, we're going to have to sign him to a lot of money, and people are going to be like, wait, what did he do? Let me go back and look again, because they're going to be a little confused. But he's a good guy. So, all right, with that, we go to the final prediction for the game. Oh, wait, before we do the final prediction, let me hit this one thing. CBD.DetroitLionsPodcast.com. Any of your CBD needs, you got pain, you got insomnia, you got a little bit of anxiety in life, CBD, you're not going to get that high. It's not weed. It takes care of your body in an all-natural way and helps you live a much more productive and fulfilling life without all the other products and prescriptions and all the other stuff that you could do. Legal in all 50 states. You can use it and use heavy machinery. It's really good stuff. CBD.DetroitLionsPodcast.com. They give us a little kickback, so everybody knows, transparency and all that. They give us a little kickback every time you buy it. But as you guys have seen in our previous shows, I tested it. My mother-in-law, older woman, she's a seasoned citizen for sure. And I didn't want her to get ripped off, so I figured I'd test it on some of my aches and pains and absolutely was sold on it and take care of her with it as well. There's 55% off. They have a new Delta 8 line. I haven't tried it yet. I'm just telling you, they have a new line, but 55% off on that. I'm willing to hear what you guys think of it. CBD.DetroitLionsPodcast.com. Check it out. CBD.DetroitLionsPodcast.com. All right. Jeff
showed his elbow. I'd have shown my knee, but I don't think I'm quite that flexible to get my knee up.
Well, plus it's a no pants podcast, Tony. Oh man. Let's see. Okay, final outcome prediction. Tony, I'm gonna go to you first.
Okay.
What do you think? I mean, I always have a little bit of Lions homer, but when I get to this point, I take my heart and put it aside, and I have to go to my brain. You always are brains. You're all brains, man. What do you got for us here?
I don't know if my family would agree with you on the all brains thing, but I'll take that a compliment. Thank you. I think it's going to be a close game. I don't think the Packers are going to put up 43, but I don't think the Lions are going to score more than 21. Last week, I said 24-21 Lions over the Bears. This week, I'm going to go 24-21 Packers over the Lions. Closer than expected game, but again, a field goal is going to decide it, which we've seen the last couple of times the Packers and Lions have gotten together.
Yep. How about you, Riz? Where are you at?
I am not so optimistic on this one. I think that the run of having close games sort of comes to an end here. I think the Packers are very focused. I think that even though we do have some matchup advantages in this game, Aaron Rodgers looked phenomenal last week, and he's feeling it. It's in Lambeau. I know there won't be fans in the stands, but there's still something there that something will happen. And I worry very much that the Lions will not or they will focus too much on Devontae Adams and Marquez Valdez-Scantling, who had a good week last week too, is going to light them up. The injuries on the defensive side of the ball, being without 2 starting offensive linemen, is a very bad thing to have. The Packers' defensive front, I know they're going to be without Kenny Clark. They do not get enough credit from Lions fans, just as the Bears' secondary doesn't get enough credit, and I said that last week. The Packers' front is really good. Now, their linebackers are god-awful, so if there's going to be some room to attack there, I got the Packers winning. I think I picked officially 34-22. I'll give the Lions an extra 2 points on it and make it 34-24.
Yeah, all right. I'm gonna mealy mouth the hell out of this, guys. I'm sorry. I'm going 24-24. It isn't gonna be a tie. Somebody's gonna kick a field goal to win it. I don't know who it is. I can't go either way, and I can see either one just as much as the other. I think both teams have a real reason to want to run this. I think Matthew Stafford's going to have to work hard this game. We're going to have to see the next step in Matthew Stafford's recovery this week compared to last week. I think he can do it. I think there's a lot of, Mad Stafford is the best Stafford. That's what I've always said. When he gets frustrated, he comes out and he slings that ball, and that's what my expectations are. We're gonna see a lot of ball movement on this game, and it's gonna come up with a field goal to finish in the end. So I hope we have the ball.
By the way, if you haven't seen it yet, check out what Matthew Stafford wrote for the Players Tribune. It's worth your time.
Oh yeah, absolutely, 100%.
Big time. Yep.
All right, with that, we're going to call a show a little longer. Thanks to Dean. You guys, we can blame Dean. He's not on the phone now, so let's just say thanks a lot, Dean. All right. Thank you, guys.
Hey, I got to meet Dean Blandino. My day is made.
My day's made every time you're here, Tony. I'm telling you.
Oh.
Dean's just Dean. You're Tony.
I just like being here with Jeff. I mean, Jeff is the best.
Fun, man. This is
Exactly.
fun. I love having you on, man. You've been a great addition. You're welcome at any time.
Yeah,
Thank you.
For sure. All right, remember, the show needs your involvement. Use the comments in the subreddit to give us your feedback. And don't forget about us on Patreon, patreon.com/Detroit Lions Podcast, patreon.com/Detroit Lions Podcast. Get in there. As little as $1 a month in the donation page gets you access to the Slack chat, the most intelligent Lions chat on the internet. Check us out on Facebook, facebook.com/the Detroit Lions Podcast, Instagram, Detroit Lions Podcast, and Twitter. Follow us at DET Lions Podcast, DET Lions Podcast, where Riz and now Tony are always
with no pants.
That's right.
No, I still have pants. Sorry, guys. Pants.
That's okay. You're allowed.
Not optional. Pants.
Give us a call via Skype at Detroit Lions Podcast, or call us on the Lions line at 929-33-LIONS, 929-335-4667. He's going to drop them. I'm telling you. Be sure to go to DetroitLionsPodcast.com. Subscribe to the podcast so we can show up in your ears automatically. Thank you for tuning in. We're going to see you next time on the Detroit Lions Podcast. Remember, no pants, no toasters, no need for the hot tubs, because we got no problems. We're your Detroit Lions and Reddit connection.